The crisis, a defining moment. Imagine a young life, full of potential, suddenly derailed by a behavioral health crisis. It could be a teenager overwhelmed by anxiety, a child grappling with trauma, or a young adult struggling with intense emotional distress. These situations are not just statistics. They are real-life scenarios playing out in homes and communities across the country. In these moments of crisis, families and caregivers often feel lost, unsure of where to turn for immediate and effective help. The consequences of not addressing these crises effectively can be devastating. Untreated behavioral health issues can escalate, leading to academic struggles, strained relationships, and even tragic outcomes. That's why it is absolutely critical to have a system in place that provides timely, compassionate, and skilled intervention when and where it's needed most. We need to be able to reach these young people, stabilize the situation, and connect them with the resources they need to heal and thrive. MRSS, answering the call. This is where Mobile Response and Stabilization Services, or MRSS, steps in as a lifeline for youth and families facing behavioral health emergencies. MRSS is not just another program. It's a proactive, immediate response system designed to meet the needs of young people in the midst of a crisis. Think of it as a first responder, similar to calling 911 in a medical emergency. MRSS teams are trained to de-escalate volatile situations, provide on-the-spot support, and connect individuals with ongoing care. This training will equip you with the knowledge and skills to understand the core components of MRSS and how it operates in real-world scenarios. We'll delve into the specific services offered, the target population, and the critical role of response times and de-escalation techniques. You'll learn how MRSS teams work collaboratively with families, schools, and other community partners to provide wraparound support during those crucial initial hours and weeks following a crisis. This is more than just information. It's about empowering you to make a real difference in the lives of young people and families during their most vulnerable moments. By understanding and effectively utilizing MRSS, you become part of a vital safety net, ready to catch those in need and guide them towards a path of healing and recovery. Defining the lifeline. What is MRSS? Mobile Response and Stabilization Services, or MRSS, is more than just a program. It's a lifeline thrown to young people drowning in a sea of emotional distress. Imagine a child gripped by anxiety so severe they can't breathe. Or a teenager haunted by trauma, lashing out in anger and fear. In these moments of crisis, families often feel helpless, unsure of where to turn or who can help. MRSS is the answer to that desperate plea for help. It's a specialized service designed to address the unique needs of children and youth under the age of 21 experiencing a behavioral health crisis. These crises can manifest in various ways: panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, self-harming behaviors, extreme emotional outbursts, or a sudden and drastic change in behavior. The key is that the situation requires immediate intervention to prevent further escalation and potential harm. MRSS teams are trained to recognize the signs of a crisis, de-escalate the situation, and provide immediate support to stabilize the individual. Reaching those in need. The MRSS focus. MRSS is laser-focused on helping children and youth who are experiencing a behavioral health crisis, but the scope extends beyond just the individual. This service recognizes that a crisis doesn't happen in a vacuum. It impacts families, schools, and communities. Therefore, MRSS is designed to provide support and resources to everyone involved, helping to create a safety net that catches those in need and guides them towards stability. This means MRSS serves children and youth from all walks of life. Those living at home, in foster care, involved in the juvenile justice system, or experiencing homelessness. It encompasses a wide range of emotional and behavioral challenges, from anxiety and depression to trauma-related disorders and substance use issues. The goal is always the same: to meet the young person where they are, physically and emotionally, and provide the immediate support needed to de-escalate the crisis and begin the journey toward healing and recovery. The beauty of MRSS lies in its flexibility and accessibility. It's not confined to a therapist's office or a hospital setting. MRSS teams are mobile, meaning they can respond to crises wherever they occur. In homes, schools, community centers, or even on the streets. This immediacy and accessibility are crucial in preventing crises from escalating and ensuring that young people receive the help they need when they need it most. Meeting the need: how and where MRSS delivers. When a child or teen is in the throes of a behavioral health crisis, waiting days or even hours for help is simply not an option. MRSS recognizes this urgency and has structured its service delivery to be responsive, flexible, and readily available to those in need. The beauty of MRSS lies in its ability to meet families where they are, both literally and figuratively. This means that MRSS can be delivered in a variety of ways, depending on the specific needs of the individual and the nature of the crisis. The most common methods of service delivery are in-person and telehealth, each offering unique advantages in ensuring that young people receive the right support at the right time. This flexibility is a cornerstone of MRSS, allowing it to adapt to a wide range of situations and provide truly individualized care. Whether it's a face-to-face intervention in a family home or a virtual counseling session through a secure video platform, MRSS prioritizes accessibility and responsiveness, ensuring that help is never out of reach. Beyond the call, the power of in-person response. Imagine a child overwhelmed by anxiety, hiding in their room, refusing to go to school, or a teenager consumed by anger, lashing out at family members, their words laced with despair. These situations require more than just a phone call or a referral. They demand a compassionate and immediate presence. That's where the power of in-person MRSS response truly shines. When an MRSS team arrives on site, whether it's a home, school, or community setting, they bring with them not just their expertise, but a sense of calm and reassurance. The very act of showing up, of being physically present in the midst of chaos, can de-escalate a situation and provide much-needed stability. It allows the team to assess the situation firsthand, build rapport with the individual in crisis, and work directly with families to develop a plan for support. This hands-on approach is particularly vital in those initial moments of crisis, when trust needs to be established quickly and effectively. It allows MRSS professionals to connect with young people on a personal level, creating a safe space for them to open up, share their struggles, and begin the process of healing. Bridging the gap. Telehealth expands the reach. While in-person response is a cornerstone of MRSS, we live in a world where technology has the power to bridge distances and expand access to care. Telehealth, the delivery of health-related services via telecommunications technologies, has emerged as a valuable tool in the MRSS toolkit, ensuring that even those in remote or underserved areas can receive timely and effective support. Imagine a rural community, miles from the nearest mental health clinic, or a family struggling to access transportation due to financial constraints. In these situations, telehealth becomes a lifeline, allowing MRSS professionals to connect with youth and families through secure video conferencing, phone calls, and even text messaging. This virtual bridge not only enhances accessibility, but also offers a level of convenience and flexibility that can be particularly beneficial for families juggling work, school, and other commitments. It allows MRSS to meet families where they are, not just physically, but also in terms of their comfort levels and technological capabilities. Whether it's providing virtual counseling sessions, conducting remote assessments, or simply offering a listening ear and words of support, telehealth empowers MRSS to reach beyond geographical barriers and ensure that no one is denied access to critical behavioral health services. The golden hour, the importance of rapid response. When a child is experiencing a medical emergency, every second counts. We know that the faster they receive medical attention, the better their chances of a positive outcome. The same principle applies to behavioral health crises. Timely intervention, especially within that critical first hour, can make all the difference in de-escalating the situation, preventing harm, and setting the stage for recovery. This concept of the golden hour is paramount in MRSS. It's about recognizing that the sooner a trained professional can intervene in a crisis, the greater the likelihood of achieving a positive and lasting impact. Rapid response isn't just about logistics. It's about conveying to the individual in crisis and their family that their well-being is a priority, that they are not alone, and that help is on the way. A race against time, meeting the 60-minute goal. In the world of emergency response, every minute matters. That's why MRSS programs strive to achieve an initial response time of 60 minutes or less from the moment a call for help is received. Think of it as a lifeline being thrown to someone struggling to stay afloat. The faster that lifeline arrives, the better the chances of a successful rescue. Meeting this 60-minute goal requires a well-coordinated effort. It starts with having a streamlined intake process, where calls are answered promptly and information is gathered efficiently. This might involve having dedicated staff available 24/7, utilizing technology to track calls and dispatch teams, and ensuring that teams are strategically positioned within the community to minimize travel time. This commitment to rapid response sends a powerful message to families in crisis. You are not alone, and help is on the way. Turning down the heat, the art of de-escalation. Imagine walking into a room where emotions are running high, voices are raised, and tension hangs heavy in the air. This is the reality MRSS teams often face when responding to a behavioral health crisis. De-escalation, the art of calming a volatile situation and reducing the risk of harm, is not about exerting control or forcing compliance. It's about creating a space of safety and understanding, where communication can flow freely and solutions can be explored collaboratively. This requires a unique set of skills, a blend of empathy, active listening, and crisis intervention techniques. MRSS professionals are trained to approach each situation with a calm and non-threatening demeanor, validating the individual's feelings and helping them to regain a sense of control. It's about meeting the individual where they are emotionally, acknowledging their pain and frustration, and building a bridge of trust that allows for open dialogue and problem solving. De-escalation is not about fixing the situation. It's about creating the optimal environment for healing and growth to begin. Beyond the initial crisis, the long road to stability. You've navigated the choppy waters of the immediate crisis. The initial storm of emotions has subsided, and a sense of calm has settled. But just like a ship that's weathered a storm, there's still work to be done to ensure it reaches safe harbor. That's where the stabilization period in MRSS comes into play. This phase is all about providing ongoing support and guidance to help the young person and their family regain their footing, develop coping mechanisms, and build resilience. It's about recognizing that true healing takes time and requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the underlying issues contributing to the crisis. The stabilization period isn't about simply putting a Band-Aid on a deep wound. It's about providing the tools and support needed for genuine, lasting recovery. Building a bridge to healing. Components of stabilization. The stabilization period is like building a bridge over troubled waters, carefully placing each stone to create a sturdy pathway towards recovery. It's a collaborative process involving the young person, their family, and the MRSS team, all working together to achieve shared goals. This phase typically involves regular check-ins with the young person and their family, either in person or through telehealth, to monitor their progress, provide support, and adjust the treatment plan as needed. It's about being proactive, anticipating challenges, and providing guidance and resources to navigate those bumps in the road. The stabilization period is also a time to connect the family with other community resources, such as therapists, support groups, or skill-building programs that can provide ongoing support and address any underlying mental health concerns. Partners in care. The power of collaboration. Stabilization isn't a solo act, it's a team effort. Just as a symphony orchestra relies on the harmonious interplay of different instruments, effective stabilization requires collaboration among various individuals and systems involved in a young person's life. This means that MRSS teams often find themselves working closely with parents, caregivers, teachers, school counselors, therapists, and other service providers to ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards the same goal: the young person's well-being. This collaborative approach is essential for creating a seamless web of support where everyone involved understands their role and feels empowered to contribute to the young person's recovery. It's about breaking down silos, fostering open communication, and recognizing that everyone has a valuable perspective to offer. This collective wisdom, combined with a shared commitment to the young person's success, is what ultimately paves the way for lasting stability and growth. Let's take a look at how MRSS makes a real difference. Picture a typical high school buzzing with activity. Suddenly, in the middle of a crowded hallway, a student named Emma experiences a severe panic attack. She's overwhelmed with fear, struggling to breathe, her heart pounding in her chest. The school counselor, trained to recognize the signs of a crisis, immediately activates the MRSS protocol. Within minutes, the call is dispatched to the nearest MRSS team. These professionals, trained in crisis intervention and de-escalation techniques, understand the urgency of the situation. They know that every second counts when someone is in the throes of a panic attack. The MRSS team arrives at the school within 45 minutes of the initial call, well below the 60-minute target. They quickly assess the situation, working in tandem with the school counselor to create a calm and supportive environment for Emma. Using a gentle and reassuring approach, they guide her to a quiet room, away from the chaos of the hallway. Let's consider another scenario, this time involving a 17-year-old named Lucas. Lucas has a history of trauma and has been struggling with intense anger and aggressive outbursts at home. His family, at their wits' end, feels overwhelmed and ill-equipped to handle the situation. Fearful for Lucas's safety and their own well-being, they make the difficult decision to reach out to MRSS for help. Within an hour, an MRSS team arrives at Lucas's home. Trained in de-escalation techniques and trauma-informed care, they understand that Lucas's anger is often a symptom of deeper emotional pain. They approach him with empathy and respect, creating a safe space for him to express his feelings without judgment. Over the next several hours, the MRSS team works tirelessly to de-escalate the situation. They teach Lucas coping mechanisms to manage his anger, such as deep breathing exercises and mindfulness techniques. They also work with his family to develop a safety plan, outlining steps to take should another crisis arise. The initial crisis is averted, but the MRSS team's work is far from over. They recognize that true stability requires ongoing support and guidance. Over the next 6 weeks, they provide regular check-ins with Lucas and his family, offering a listening ear, encouragement, and practical advice. They help connect Lucas with a therapist specializing in trauma-informed care, recognizing that he needs a safe and supportive space to process his past experiences and develop healthy coping strategies. They also work with his family to improve communication and build stronger, healthier relationships. Imagine you're a teenager who's just gone through a traumatic experience. Your world feels chaotic, and you're struggling to cope with a maelstrom of emotions. Then, a group of strangers shows up at your door, saying they want to help. It's understandable if your first instinct is to shut them out, to retreat further into yourself. This natural human response to trauma and crisis presents a significant challenge for MRSS engagement and retention. It's not enough to simply offer services. You have to build trust, and that takes time, consistency, and a genuine understanding of the individual's unique circumstances. For many young people, especially those who've experienced neglect, abuse, or systemic discrimination, trust is a fragile thing, easily broken and hard to earn. This is why building rapport is paramount in MRSS. It's about approaching each individual with respect, empathy, and a non-judgmental attitude. It's about listening more than you speak, validating their feelings, and meeting them where they are emotionally. Section 2, the resource dilemma. Doing more with less. Imagine you're an MRSS professional, your phone ringing off the hook with calls for help. You're passionate about your work, dedicated to making a difference in the lives of young people in crisis. But you're also acutely aware of the limitations you face: a shortage of staff, insufficient funding, and a lack of resources to meet the overwhelming demand for services. This, unfortunately, is the reality for many MRSS programs across the country. They're operating in a system stretched thin, trying to do more with less, often forced to make difficult decisions about how to allocate limited resources. This resource dilemma presents a significant challenge to the effectiveness and sustainability of MRSS. When programs are understaffed and underfunded, it directly impacts their ability to respond to crises in a timely manner, provide adequate follow-up care, and offer the full range of services needed to support young people and their families. This shortage of resources can lead to longer wait times for services, increased caseloads for staff, and a higher risk of burnout among those on the front lines of care. It also limits the ability of MRSS programs to invest in essential training for staff, develop new and innovative approaches to care, and expand their reach to underserved communities. Section 1, Bridging the Gap, Strategies for Enhanced Engagement. We've talked about the challenges, building trust with skeptical teens, and stretching limited resources. But let's talk solutions. How do we get these kids the help they need when they need it most? First, we meet them where they are. Not just physically, showing up at their doorstep or school, but emotionally. That means putting aside judgments, preconceived notions, and meeting them with empathy and understanding. We need to ditch the one-size-fits-all approach and embrace individualized care. Every young person is unique with their own story, their own struggles, their own way of communicating. That means taking the time to listen, really listen, to understand their perspective, their fears, their hopes. It's about building a genuine connection, a sense of trust and rapport that allows them to let their guard down and open up. It's about empowering them to be active participants in their own recovery, to feel heard, valued, and respected. Section 2, Maximizing Impact, Strategies for Resource Optimization. We know the need is great, but the resources are limited. So how do we bridge that gap? It's about working smarter, not just harder. It's about maximizing the impact of every dollar, every hour, every interaction. It's about being resourceful, innovative, and relentless in our pursuit of solutions. One key strategy is to strengthen partnerships and collaborations within the community. MRSS doesn't operate in a vacuum. We need to leverage the strengths of other organizations, agencies, and individuals who are also invested in the well-being of young people. Think schools, community centers, faith-based organizations, even businesses. By pooling resources, sharing expertise, and coordinating services, we can create a more comprehensive and sustainable safety net for those in need. It's also crucial to advocate for increased funding and support for MRSS. This isn't just about asking for more money. It's about making the case for why investing in early intervention and prevention makes both moral and economic sense. We need to educate policymakers, community leaders, and the public about the critical role MRSS plays in diverting young people from more restrictive and costly interventions, such as hospitalization or involvement in the juvenile justice system. Section 1. A shared commitment. Safeguarding our future. We've covered a lot of ground in this training, from the nuts and bolts of MRSS service delivery to the complex challenges of engagement and resource allocation. But through it all, there's one overarching theme: the undeniable importance of investing in the well-being of our children and youth. MRSS is more than just a program. It's a reflection of our collective responsibility to create a world where every young person has the opportunity to thrive. When we invest in MRSS, we're not just responding to crises, we're preventing them. We're breaking down the stigma surrounding mental health, creating pathways for early intervention, and building a safety net that catches those in need before they fall through the cracks. This work requires a collective effort, a partnership between families, communities, policymakers, and dedicated professionals working tirelessly on the front lines. It's about recognizing that the well-being of our children is not a partisan issue. It's a human issue, one that demands our unwavering attention and commitment. The challenges are real. The resources often stretched thin. But the potential rewards, healthier families, safer communities, and a brighter future for our young people make this work not just important, but absolutely essential. By embracing the principles of MRSS, by advocating for its expansion, by supporting the dedicated professionals who make it all possible, we can create a world where every child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. This isn't just a job, it's a calling, a mission to safeguard our most precious resource, our future generations.